Good morning, everyone.
Hello,
Good
everyone.
news, everyone. We've decided to make a podcast. We're back. I hope you have all been well. I know you have because I talk to you, 2 other times a week, and that's cool. Um, Pop, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good, good,
Surviving.
good. Like your facial hair is interesting.
It is.
Yeah,
It's very interesting. I was curious what it would look like because when I did the Fu Manchu, this was always white down here, and I wondered how everything else was.
yeah, yeah. You got your James Hetfield portion is white,
Right.
but your Lemmy
Yeah.
is still the brown. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It is interesting.
Good morning, Crown Slayer. How are you, sir?
Morning, bud.
Oh, John became a member. That's great.
Yeah, I did that last night. I didn't realize it had lapsed. So,
Hi, Mom. Good morning.
hello, Shannon.
Um, yeah. So we've been absent since assembly required. I guess is the last show we did was right before we left for Des Moines. Had a great show. Um,
You
made
did.
some new connections. Talked to a lot of people. We sold some stuff. Some things were sold. Um, you sold a couple of Spaceman kits, which was
We
awesome.
did. We did sell
Got
some
good
Astro suits for
got some
sure.
got some good feedback on that. Um, yeah, you made a few small kits for in time for the show. Um, nothing to the scale of the Astro suit. Uh, but
Yeah.
we had talked about some smaller things and some weapons that you were going to work on for the show, and we did have those. So that's cool.
We did have a few things. Let's see here. We can pull up. I have this rough image, but it is a picture that we did have. And then I want to talk about a few things that came out of AR. We don't have very many people on this morning, so the we're going to talk about something that happened in the 3 3/4 world, and then O-ring world, and then talk about something that happened in the 1/12 scale world. I'm going to talk about that stuff. I'm going to talk just a little bit about it because there's not a lot I can say up to a certain point, but there is some development. The spaceman, the Astro suit, will get one more modification. That'll be some new boots, and then that will kind of have to be shelved for a while, and we'll focus on small kits for
Tony, good
a
morning, buddy.
Tony.
How you doing?
And then we'll focus more on just small kits to just build figures for a little while, like the sci-fi kit. The No, I've been having terrible trouble with the website and getting it to upload and update. I have tons of pictures, but I will show. I think I have a picture here of those rifles. Maybe we had a
Technical difficulties.
we had a pack of I just threw 10 different ones in. Most of them were versions of classified Duke V1 of his rifle. We worked on I think on the last show. Is that the one
Morning,
where we worked
Crash.
on morning? Where we worked on where we wanted to properly place the scopes. Was that the last
Mm-hmm.
show? Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. So we need to get that. I have an image of a group of those rifles that I put together. I don't know what happened to it. I just had it here and I have misplaced it. Oh, there it is. This also shows some of the other product that we did have that we talked about on that last show. So Page.
Bear 11 Charlie's here. Good morning, sir.
Hey. And here we go. Okay. So we did talk about, we had the kit with the M12 Esperetta and the MPK, sorry. But also what we had was we had one of the rifles that came with Gung Ho. This design, what I really hated about it was I thought it was really thin, you know? So I bulked it out some, so now it feels more like a heavy gun. So I pulled all these edges out and made it wider and thicker. So that is in that bag. Here's this one after it was done.
So that was just taken off the 3x magnifier that it had behind the hologram.
Yeah, and then we all talked. We had a small group on here. I know I say we all talked, but everybody that was involved, we talked about the proper placement of this site, where we thought that would be best, and that is now where it's at. It also made this longer version of the rifle with an extended. The barrel extension is here. Scope on that,
and different forward grip too. You got the wedge instead of a full grip. I like that.
Yeah, I pulled this from our Action Assault kit. This scope and
okay.
this. I'm going to redo these a little bit. Another thing that happened right before the show that we didn't get to the show is a new version of that L85 two-piece. Don't want the algorithm to get upset. And then I did include in that bag is just a hard resin version of that gun. Nice and straight, no bend. You don't have to run it under hot water. Just a good resin version. And then I included this more like a better scope. I never did get to include this because somewhere in this scope model that I downloaded is a hole.
Oh.
So every time I try to print this and I put them on the same bed as those L83s or L85s, they just did not. It would not print, and it would crash that entire layer across the printer.
Bizarre.
So every time I tried to print, it just crashed that layer, and I would get it, and I would get pieces of guns like where there was just a sliced chunk out of them, and then it would try to print other. It was terrible. So I need to go through this scope and just model it as I would model something. One of those things we talked about early on was, modeling and the things that you learn and things that you do. And doing those L85s, I learned a lot that I did wrong when I did those that I now see the issue with. So anyway, but you got 10 rifles in the kit. I think there was 10 pieces. There's 7 rifles. You got the classic Astro suit gun, 2 handguns, and a battery pack for the rifle. So
and Duke's shin guards.
Shin guards weren't in there. Those I just had on this block to show things we were making.
Okay.
But I think what would be kind of cool is I think I'll just make for the website. I'm just going to make a weapons pack, just a gear pack, and we'll throw these in there. We'll throw these shin guards in there. Just a futuristic pack. These are separate. And I did the belts because I just did the belt. Some of the kits had the belts and some didn't. It's Duke's belt. If you're doing Action Assault stuff, Duke's have kind of dried up, so it's really hard to get that belt. And the other ways of getting that belt are not cheap either. Rock and Roll, the Trooper.
Oh, for the other belt.
Yeah, you got that other design, which will work in place of it because it has a hole in it. Or you could just do this.
It doesn't look as good though, because this one's got like McFarlane and Layfield level pouches.
Yes, it does. The thing about that is like for the Astro suit, the small pouches actually have a purpose. It's not just a random pouch. That's your battery pack for the pistol. So
Right.
two batteries fit in each pouch in lore, right?
Hey, George Vega's in the house. Good morning, sir. Thanks for stopping
George.
in, man. He says, I'll take it. Good to see you, man.
So that is that's kind of what was going on there. So that is the new parts. I think that's all the new parts. We did have Thunder helmet kits.
Mm-hmm.
We did have a few of those. Obviously,
Next
Dreadnought.
time I see you, I need to get some of those. I forgot to pick some of those up from you.
Okay.
I'll get those with the heads.
Yeah, I need to finish that up. I had to. So
If you can fix them.
Mikey asked me to fix these heads, okay? And I don't know what I did to my slicer program, but I let that thing run for 24 hours trying to fill this one head and fix it just to display it. And it was fine before. So I cannot figure out what happened. So I ended up losing that file, had to rescale all those heads that we rescaled. And then I still haven't brought in those other ones to do a tray. I have used this time to fix a bunch of things downstairs that were a mess. And that is what I've been doing. I spent some time in here this last week trying to get this kind of set up. You see behind me over here, got the Milton Bradley stuff over here in a stack. So stuff like that. I've just been trying to get some organization because it was just getting to the point where every time I wanted to do something, I had like this little path and I had to like keep everything somewhere in the little path. I'm trying to clean things up.
Sure.
So,
Sean Forrester's here. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Sean. So that was that stuff. I want to show you guys this. Probably not going to be a lot of these left to do, but I just want to show you what this guy looks like. This was fun for me. Somebody had 1/12 scale classified, vehicles. So I found I dropped deep six into this shark. Oh, that looked pretty cool.
Very cool.
Obviously, did not buy a shark, but this is this. I thought this was cool.
You didn't buy a shark, but you did go home with a night raven.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it.
No, you didn't. You didn't buy it. You did take it home.
I did take
it home.
Also,
it wasn't stolen. Let me be clear about that.
Too. It was not stolen either.
That sounded like he stole it. That was not the case.
I did not steal it. It was it was made for the show, and Travis Weber was at the end of the show, could not get anybody to take it.
And it's huge. It's a 1/12 night raven.
4 feet long. Yeah,
it's massive. And it breaks down. So I mean, it's not literally 4 feet long transport, but it takes up a lot of space. It was like 3 chunks of fuselage. You got wings. It's immense. And how you call the thing on top, a probe, not a probe.
The drone. It's got a drone too.
Drone. Yeah, it's got the drone.
It's a foot long,
easy. Yeah.
But and there are a lot of reasons why I love that plane. But so getting it here, it's still setting
Father Son Galaxy. Appreciate you.
Morning. Still sitting there, but I have found a place where it's going to go. And it's going to hang on a wall. So it's going to be like a silhouette on the wall that you can see, but it will be, it's a 3D printed. It's beautifully printed. It needs a lot of work, but I'm just going to get it, build a wooden frame for it to slide in the wheel wells, pull the wheels out, the struts and everything, the landing gear out, and then just slide it onto that, like 3 blocks that hold it by those things. And that's how it's going to sit so that it won't fall off or shake or any of that. We've got to build a little A-frame with the front sides and slide it onto that, and that's how it's going to be held. I'm going to drill a little hole in it. There's a bar that holds the landing gear, and I'm just going to run a zip tie up in there and tie it, and that way it'll hold it from falling off of those blocks, like if the mortar fire or an earthquake or whatever, right?
You never know. remarkably close to Whiteman. You never know what's going to pop off.
You really
And
don't.
you're well within the striking difference of the New Madrid fault line, so there is no telling.
Just to so working on the Thunder set, he comes with a rangefinder. All right, guys, that technology has changed so much since the 80s.
Yeah.
Like there is nobody using a giant. That is just not possible. But what is
every golf bag has a rangefinder, and it's about the size of your palm.
And this one
like...
is this one is the most used one by the military, by ballistics and artillery. So this is the one that I modeled.
What do you think, Cliff? Does that look like one you've handled before? What do you think?
It does not have this. But this one also, I believe this one does some thermal imaging and some other things. I can't remember everything. My brain has been incredibly full, and as we talk today, you'll understand why I've been busy. But that's so that's what Thunder comes with. He comes with a small handheld version of that. I put two little wings on it so that you could run a ribbon through it to hang from his neck. They're just little slots. It doesn't take away from the look of it. It makes it a little bigger for his hand to go around and hold it. But it also has the use of being something to hang it by if you wanted to hang it around his neck.
Cliff never used the rangefinder.
He didn't have to. He just did
mathematician.
It's like in the movies.
Looked at
like
it.
With the field of wind. And there it is.
Drop a blade of grass.
13 yards to the left. So that's what the Thunder kit comes with, that for a rangefinder. Like I say, I did the model, so I'm probably...
Hi, Moo.
Hey, Mom. I will probably, since I did that rangefinder, that will find its way onto some of the weapons, just to give some variety. I looked at a ton of rangefinders, and that's the one that I settled on. I did really.
You might as well get some use out of it. Hell, you could put you probably wouldn't want to do that. Let's say figure out a way to use that hole on the action assault belt to mount it to it. But then you would either have to put a peg or a hole on it to mount some way.
Or a little pouch.
That's true. Yeah, so something that it can pop in. Yeah, you could do that.
You could do that. I could do that too. There are things, right? There are things. Okay, so my favorite thing that I want to show you guys, I believe, is this. And I do have a couple of these kits, but I'm going to talk about it because we've talked about it, but I've never really shown a image of this kit put together. Now, it is not painted. It's not finished.
Crown Slayer likes the pouch idea.
I think it's a good idea.
He's into pouches.
I really do. There we go.
Oh, they went old school. Just had the forward observers. Okay, right on. Oh, look at this.
Yeah, okay, so this is...
It's a Panther Stinger.
Yes, the Stinger to Panther conversion. Nothing is painted on this, okay? I would highly recommend painting everything. You can see how bright the original... This is a junker, right? It doesn't have the dash. It's beat to shit. But I throw it in the bag, so I have it with me, so I'm always thinking about what it looks like. As you see at the top, we've got the Mark II Vamp cannon. Mark has taken stuff off of Etsy. He had a lot of file stealing and stuff like that going on.
Oh, I didn't.
But he can still send you this file. I think he may even reprint them. But my deal with him was I would only do it in these two colors, gray and yellow. So I won't offer that any other way. Okay, that's the only way I will sell that is like that. And I haven't printed anything in yellow for a while. But what you get this basket. You get a couple of gas cans. The original toy, the gas cans were yellow, but I like.
You really love the lamp.
Great. I
really
love lamp. So I modeled the Vamp 1 basket. All right, there's a little applique in here you have to bust out.
Morning, Triple D.
A little applique you have to bust out. You can take the whole thing apart and snap it out, or you can be destructive. But if you look at the basket, and I don't know if I have an open basket in here. Yeah, I do. Okay, we'll show and tell.
Excellent.
We'll do show. What I got here is this is the Stinger basket with gas tanks. So if you want to turn your Stinger into a Vamp Mark II or a version of the Vamp Mark II, you need this basket. Okay. So here it is. Let's see if I got threw it away. Here.
Use your heat.
All right. Let's do this. You see those tabs? They snap in. It's just a little applique on the back. And those tabs snap into it. It's the proper angle. I went ahead and molded the axe holder and everything. The axe holder and everything into it. So these tabs snap in. All right, they snap into that spot in the back after you pop the applique out. It's just flat. It's weird, but you can tell that they were thinking about it. The gas can, just a gas can. It's open on the bottom, and it'll come with these little pieces of plastic that fill this hole. They're not really necessary unless you're just going for that. But when you buy that kit, you get the 2 tanks and the basket. If you buy the Stinger kit, they're yellow. The basket is yellow. The tanks are whatever color I print them in. Like I say, I highly recommend. The very first ones I did yellow tanks, and I may still print some when I get some more yellow going. But that's kind of what it is. Let me throw this back up. All right. The next thing is
Max.
The next thing going down the list here are the wheels. So these wheels are designed to look like basic 1980s truck wheels. And then we have this bolt pattern. All right. And as you can see, there it is on the Panther. All of the Action Force vehicles that were redone Hasbro vehicles have these wheels. So they also fit on the MMS. All right. Or the, whatever the Cobra one's called. So the set, you can get the set. It'll come with all 4 wheels. You got 4 pins that snap inside of the wheel, and then that hubcap. All right. You don't have to paint the stuff inside. That way you can paint the hubcap separate. I do not know why I didn't bring that in here. But the hubcap is a pretty simple part. And then you can choose to paint the bolts black, or the, you know what I'm saying, the wheel bolts. You can paint them black, or you can just wash them. Do a nice glossy yellow and then do a wash on them.
A nice wash.
There are several yellows out there. I'm not going to recommend one because there is so many, and the shades are different. But this I would call this a lemon yellow. It's very bright. It's almost it's just crazy bright. All right. So it's not an orange light yellow. It's yellow.
Very bright.
It is very bright.
Fucking canary yellow. It's not even that. Yeah, it's not even that. It's like more bright.
Also, I will say, as I'm moving forward through this build, this roll bar was done in 2 colors. It was done in black, and it was done in yellow. Now, if you have a Stinger, all right, you know that both of those pieces, this and the front roll bar, are molded in gray. All right, which is fine. Like this one here, I left this gray because I really just snapped this together. This one is not a complete one. This is just my buck for testing everything out. Okay. So you could paint those, especially if you want it to look a little different. You could paint both of those pieces black, or you could paint them yellow, and it would be just fine. That is what this front piece looks like that you can't see in this picture. But when you buy this kit, you do get 4 wheels for your Vamp, and there are 2 wheels if you want to build the British version of that missile carrier. All right. Um, so that's just to say, I'm just saying this. Okay. That's what the kit comes with. You get this gun, get the basket, 2 gas cans, the bottoms, 6 wheels. That's what you get.
And if
The
you
other
want,
issue,
I have a few decal sets that are Panther
yes, there
decals.
are decal sets. I have not got to that. I'm going to eventually, this is going to be built up to be one. The reason that I'm really pushing this right now, not only has Mikey been on my ass about it, but also because after Christmas, any Walmarts that you know of that had those central displays and still have a bunch of damn stingers, my Walmart has them for 65 right now.
Oh,
They're not marked down. It just looks like a rollback on the shelf. If this Walmart over here by me still has the big display and they're replenishing it all the time. Every time I go in there, I see cops and I see, I've only seen the Ghost Viper one time, or 2 times, and I did pick one up when I saw one. But money's super tight, and I'm not buying a bunch of stuff. I knew that one was not going to stick around. That Viper in that set is really good.
it's really good. Yeah.
I mean, forget all the other stuff about it. Like that Viper is cool. All the other
Yeah,
set is
we're still
thanks,
doing
man.
stuff, Max.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
So
I actually don't know which one's more rare.
I'll
I
be,
know Analog Toys went in like a deep dive on it,
yeah.
but I don't know what's more rare, the black or the yellow roll bars.
I don't
I don't know.
either. I got both. I everything has like because of this year in my situation that I've been in, I've slowly been like letting go of all of these things and deciding what I really loved and why. And like I was talking, people are always like, "Man, you got so much stuff, you could sell it." I can't. And the stuff you see behind me is mostly just boxes. Like, I don't have a super rare Starbird. I have one, but it's all dingy and yellow, and it doesn't have all of its pieces. But you just can't deny its beauty.
It is
It's so
cool.
simple. It's such a simple toy.
It's got a snake's head.
I love it. It's so cool, and I love that Milton Bradley did several versions of it using some of the same pieces, just changed it up a little bit, did a separate color scheme called the Avenger, and then they even did like a bad guy vehicle out of it, and painted it black and totally different back end on it. Pretty cool, and as somebody that's always interested in the marketing slash uh, accounting slash design, how those things happen, like it's not, people like, I see people just going into ridiculous rages over reusing a mold. It's like uh no Crayon Slayer, it was a separate line that Milton Bradley made. See see behind me here, they made this base, and the base, like, you could park the Starbird on it. And then they did
That's
3
cool.
vehicles. They were actually making some pretty cool space stuff back then. Milton Bradley was. Uncle Milton had several lines of toys that people may have seen or had when they were a kid because their big brother or their dad had it and they had it in a box and don't realize where some of that stuff comes from. Milton
Sure.
Bradley had a set of 2.5-inch single piece astronauts that went with that command base that other companies ended up like reusing the molds like crazy till they just became garbage. So they did a lot of that kind of stuff. So I love that stuff, and as part of that is the small focus on action force vehicles, because that's the kind of that was kind of just how it's a perfect example of something that was taken from something that's cool as GI Joe, and then they did something completely different with it at first, and then it all became the same. But the fun part of Action Forces is what they did when they first started Action Force from Action Man on their own. Then they started bringing the O-ring figures in, and it changed it, and it was just like rebranded GI Joe. But some of this stuff that they were doing is way different, very
Oh, man,
very
yeah.
sci-fi stuff.
Space Force, Q Force, Z Force, and of course the Red Shadow stuff, or the
And
enemy.
in the first year, all it was 3 3/4 inch versions of all their 12-inch figures. You had a German stormtrooper, you had a U.S. paratrooper, 1945 whatever era paratrooper. Well, those had no, but they were classic. Like, I really don't know how to explain it. They were just classic 12-inch figures that they already made under the Action Man thing, and they were just like, let's just make a diver. Let's make a paratrooper. Let's do a World War II German. Just whatever
Well, and they were making Star Wars. Palitoy was already making Star Wars figures, right? So they were like, well,
right.
let's do 12-inch Action Man just like this. That's exactly what it is, and they're rad as fuck.
That's why the 5 POA, because they were already familiar with that construction.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
Yep. Very cool. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was obviously a smaller scale, but and Milton Bradley, you guys know Milton Bradley, they make board games and all that kind of stuff. But they, in the 70s, they did take a run at making some regular toys, just like Mark's Toys. A lot of those companies. It's kind of weird when you study that whole timeline from around 1960 to 1975, excuse me, of how these little companies either grew and got to a point they couldn't do it, they couldn't keep up anymore, or they went from one of the biggest names to just deciding not to keep up anymore. And very few of those companies maintained those brands. Hasbro did, you know. But
Morning,
those
Gun
things are available. Gun Bunny, hello. That's a beautiful avatar. All right, let me wrap this up on this guy. So you get the 6 wheels, basket, cans, gun. The rest of it's up to you. And I have a few sets of decals that Mikey made. Stickers. They're not decals, right? They're actually
they're vinyl
stickers. So you can replicate these stripes and this. Do you have taillights in there? You don't. We don't need them, right? They're fine. So
yeah, I didn't do anything like that. Just the stripes and the symbols.
So I'm gonna do a little work on this to find out the best way to remove these, or if it's just better to tape these panels off and paint them black. If I can find a way to remove them without, see, this is the thing. When you look at this thing here, you can't really see it. Look how shiny this plastic is. That's the reflection off of this roll bar. So they weren't worried about texture. But if you look at the Stinger, and I can't get super close here, it'll fade out. But look at all the texture. So if you wipe that down if you wipe that down with something a little too heavy, you're going to have this smooth. You just really got to be careful with it. So I'm going to use the backside of it, test a couple of things that I would normally think I could use. Maybe something as rubbing alcohol or something. I do not want to use. People, when I say this, people say like, "Oh, just use a magic eraser."
Oh,
well,
no,
I might as well use sandpaper.
That'll smooth it out. Yeah,
I might as well use sandpaper. It's got to be a chemical that will dissolve this without dissolving this. I'm gonna play around with it, and of course, I will tell you guys what I found because it's useful for any of these things that you're working on, especially if you're doing a conversion of a Hasbro piece into something else and you don't want to repaint the whole thing. Now, if you're going to turn this into a Mark II, just paint the damn thing.
Sure.
As you see, the another cool thing about this is that Action Force, a Palitoy, used this gray, whereas GI Joe, the Stinger is, but like the Vamps are like an almost black gray.
Right.
This is a good guy vehicle with this gray.
Hell yeah. Well.
Morning, Brad.
Brad Davenport. Good morning, sir.
Well, you should get more.
Definitely. Need to get some more of those. They're really good.
Max, I do too. I would think that, I mean, there is a guy in England that's making, because these were not water slide. These decals on this thing were not water slide.
No, they're
These
stickers.
were stickers, and they weren't even like vinyl stickers.
No, paperback stickers.
Yeah. But there's a guy making stickers that are these, and then there are a couple of people in England that make that I think are making water slides. I would love water slides of some of this stuff. There's a challenge to that, but on some of this stuff, if you've got a good printer, you know somebody that can have access to a very good printer, laser printer, you can get a nice deep rich yellow or red that isn't, that you can't see through. And that's the trick, right? With the water slide, what you'll have to do is you'll have to print a bed of white and then print a bed of color. That's how they do it. That's why even when you look at an old model kit of like a Japanese Zero, like it's just the red sun, right? No, it's a layer of white and then a layer of magenta and cyan to come up with the red over the white. And that's
Right.
So there's an extra layer to it, and a lot of guys that have the ability to screen print water slides can only do one layer, or it gets complicated. So there is that. I will. Yeah, Gun Bunny. I really think he would. I have another project going on that I've been working on for a couple of years in the O-ring scale that requires some other decals, and I had mentioned to him, mentioned to him at one point that I was thinking about doing this, and he kind of told me like, hey, if you send me the art, I will print it, and we talk about price when you do. So at that point I got like the bed size that it could be, for my artwork, and started working on some stuff. But that project classified became more important. 112 became more important than 4-inch for a while. So that's what I did. That's what I did. That's what. So there's some pointers. There's some things about this. I will at some point do this and then tell you guys what I came up with. And my other thing is, if I do mess it up, there's nice panel break lines on this thing, so just spraying a color over it to clean it up would be fine.
Sure.
All right, let me remove that from the screen. Yeah, and I'll tell you something about that too. That those kayaks, I mean, people are going to tell you they're expensive. They're not. They're super cheap. What makes them expensive is if they have the little flag and the little light on them. But just to do something simple, and I believe there's a guy in England, is it Kraken Customs maybe? He does 5 POA action figures of figures they didn't make, but he also makes like reproduction parts for like an SAS APC and all kinds of like the guns, the SA-80s in different colors like green and that match the Action Force look. But I think he makes a little set, the brown one and a black one, of the pieces that you're missing to complete the kayak. But the kayaks themselves are not expensive at all.
I think that's a different water slide.
Oh, that's why they looked at me so weird when I was down there at Branson. I was like, hey man, I need these water slide decals to replicate this GI Joe toy from the 1980s. Next thing here, it says water slide in the yellow.
It says it right here on the sign of the theme.
Right here. Yeah, Pat, those are cool kayaks. I actually think they're a little more stable than the others. Let's see. that's kind of a rundown of what we did for a couple of KUK-Os. Mikey had a ton of heads there that he had painted. I don't think I got a picture of that, but okay. So lost Mikey for a moment. Really trying hard to avoid getting pulled into some Facebook drama today. Really don't want to spend my day on that, but
Nah.
I'm going to try really hard not to. This is anybody that knows what's going on, you know what I'm talking about, but there is something of a civil war in the community. And it is coming to a head. It's going to come to a head. I don't like that. I don't like any of this. If you guys were watching our show a year ago or watching me on podcasts 2 years ago, the entire idea is that we are a bunch of independent toy makers that just want to make what we like. It's not everybody has like this total hard on for Hasbro or any other companies that went away. You know, that's never been my I love toys. And that's always been my thing. And stuff like this, what's going on right now, if you guys know what's going on, I don't want to get into it real deep. But there comes a time when you have to pick a side. Yeah. And I avoid that as much as I can. Even in politics, I try to stay very central and read and learn before I make a decision on how I feel about things. But in this, there have been personal attacks, thinly veiled threats, other things. And I made a comment earlier about my current situation. I don't have much to lose. So it's one of those things where I'm at the point now where I tried being civil. I tried being supportive of them. But a high tide should raise all the ships. And if you want to be the one motherfucker out there, the one guy out there that doesn't want to be part of that, that's fine. But eventually your ship will sink, one way or the other. I would rather not fire a shot to do that. So instead, I will continue to make toys. I'll continue to enjoy the hobby. And I'll continue to watch people do really silly things because they weren't treated right in high school or somebody didn't love them enough as a kid. I don't know what the problem is. So anyway, I don't want to do that all day to day. So what I do want to talk about is something really cool. I don't know how many guys on here still do O-ring stuff. I think a lot of you guys do classified now and maybe some modern stuff. But so if you're an O-ring guy or collector, pretty cool. We got the Yeti figure from Skeletron, right? That was kind of a surprise for most people because most people weren't directly involved with this. This is a segue, by the way, because of some of the stuff that is going on in this war that is trying to be started affected this person directly. So, so this figure is an homage to this guy that makes two figures that Skeletron has developed and made that were an homage to somebody that mattered in the GI Joe community.
Yeah.
Not just a superstar, not somebody that is pretending to be a super soldier, stolen valor situation or any of that, but actual people in the community, people that have been involved in the community for years, right? So anyway, Mike, did you have your Yeti handy?
No. He's behind the Robo Skull.
So this figure is...
He's keeping watch.
Yeah.
There
so
he
here he is. So this is Aaron, the guy that the figure is an homage to. Lots of jokes about him being called the Yeti in high school. So this was developed. I did not have much to do with this figure. I am part of this team, but this figure was done with another group, and all they wanted was to use the ghost body, right? So that was my involvement with saying, yeah, use that body. And a couple of times we talked about colors and things like that in our group. But so this is the Yeti. He's a pretty cool looking figure. He's got this cool helmet that goes on him that makes him look like this.
Doug Hart art. That's wild.
So cool. but yeah, so this is pretty cool, right? And this is neat. Like over here.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
those
is
are
that? You can't see this very good in the wrapper. Let me see if I can pull up a picture.
absolutely. Let me do a couple of shout outs here.
Yeah, let's see that.
Father Son Galaxy pop and swap to Geyer Wolf and do a red jackal homage using the red overlay. Very cool. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Dan Olton's in the house. Good morning, sir. Brad Davis says, I'm not involved or was around for any of this, but honestly, the whole thing feels gross.
It is gross.
It's a pretty accurate assessment, dude. It's
very much so.
Oof. Why Vegeta's here? Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yes, he told me he was picking one up for you. I talked to your friend Paul a lot at Assembly Required. That was good. That was a good dude. I liked him.
He's really cool.
Doom's here. Good morning, Frank. Good morning, sir. Max says, on a happy note, I'm about to start assembling your Destro figure kit. Awesome. To assemble himself an Astro suit. Very cool. George Vega loves the Yeti.
It's just cool.
It's pretty awesome. And he's translucent blue. It's a great looking figure. Really, really cool. Does anyone have the options on the company Lone Wolf Toys? Do they do 3D O-rings and other stuff? Doesn't Matt LaCroix works with some of the Lone Wolf, right?
Yeah.
It does
I think
the 3D.
That's actually Matt's little group. He's got where they're pumping out figures.
Yeah,
Axel Foley and
yep.
A few others. Yeah. If you're asking for opinions, as they go for.
Oh yeah, if that's what you're into.
Matt LaCroix is an incredible painter. And he's a great guy. Honestly, one of the best dudes.
Excellent.
One of the best dudes.
100%. Are those going up on the Skeletron side or backers only? I think those are intended to be retail. I'm pretty sure.
They're going up.
I don't know when.
I don't think they came up for Thanksgiving or Black Friday, but I haven't looked at the site since then.
Macanita. Good morning. Good morning. All the drama that is going on in the toy world is just childish BS. Yes, I buy what I want when I want. I don't care who makes it. It's good.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be, man. You know, it's a lot like Mikey and I have talked about this many times. It's a lot like when you find out that one of your favorite songs is actually written and sung by a total douchebag. And it's just like, oh man, now the whole song means something different to me. What a petty piece of shit.
You talking about Born in the USA?
I don't want to name names here, Mikey, just because Bruce Springsteen has turned into that and now retroactively says everything in his catalog was meant to be a protest.
Yeah.
He's always on the right side. Sounds very familiar to something else. Um,
Hmm.
but no, I wouldn't be talking about that because one of my favorite songs is Born to Run. And sometimes I'm just like, damn it. So, it's very much like that to me.
It's a good point. PSA: Never ask a stranger if you can see their Yeti. You'll end up a red dot on the map.
Well,
Uh,
that is also true.
that's great advice, Brad. I don't want to know
Solid,
how you got that.
solid
Or how
advice,
you
Brad. Thank you.
learn. Thank you, sir. I'm always Switzerland. Bring people
Pat,
together. Stay there,
stay
buddy.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
In fact, any of you that know what's going on, stay Switzerland as much as you can, because
Yeah.
this battle is going to be fought by the people. It's I don't want like my friends and people that follow us or follow Mikey. I don't want you guys to have to take a side. This is not about that. In fact, Mikey is only involved because of his friendships, and then he got involved with what I will not call friendly fire. I will call it a personal attack. So when that happens, you get pulled into it. Switzerland can stay neutral and talk about the facts. If somebody asks the facts, you can talk about what you know and what you don't know and move on.
Mm.
The only time you have to fight is when you and yours are in danger. And this isn't a military operation. This is fucking
No,
toys.
it's yeah. Toys
Stupid
and dumb T-shirts.
toys and t-shirts, man. Come on. It doesn't matter
Oh,
who started it or any of that.
yeah. Sean Forrester picked up your astronaut kit at assembly required, turned it into an old space marine guy. Such a great kit. Awesome. Well, that's awesome. I love seeing
Thanks, Sean. That's
the
awesome, man.
different variations. Appreciate the support, buddy.
I would love to see pictures of that, Sean, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you can message me or message Pop, whatever. Yeah, I'd like to see it too. I like seeing how different people see the kit, different directions they take it. I always think that's really cool as a customizer. I think it's really awesome. Viper Scout's gonna get his popcorn ready. There you go.
Oops, sorry about that. Max, I
Yeah,
know. And I know you know. Okay.
yeah,
It's one of those things. Like I have really tried to stay neutral. I've tried to be friendly. I've tried to not act like a dick. But man, I'm not just gonna sit here and have people talk shit about me or people that I'm very close to and not do anything. And since I really don't have the resources to be like some legal badass, what I can do is keep making toys and move on like I don't give a shit. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to thrive. So,
yeah.
so Max, I hear you, buddy, and you're right. It is as easy as just pushing a button.
Yep. Cliff says
Yes,
that is the same with
Maryland.
Hollywood actors, and their BS has ruined some movies for me. Yeah, 100%.
It happens,
Uh,
man. You don't want it to, but you're just like, oh man,
it is what
it's
it is.
okay, Max. Really, let it go, bud. Just
Yeah,
move on.
it is
Just
what it
move
is.
on and thrive. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
That's
this is not going to be something I drag to my other shows or anything like that. Like I still want to be a channel that is a reprieve from the bullshit. Um, I want Wednesdays to be about customizing and me and Tony being dumb. That brings me joy, and some people seem to enjoy that, so I'm gonna stick with it. And Zake and I are going to continue to have a good time in on our night. We like what we're doing. There's no reason to bring this crap into it. Um,
I'm bringing it up today because a lot of the things we're going to talk about. So what I've done instead of becoming a bitter old man about it, I am going to make some really cool shit. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. And fortunately, I now, because of one of the other people involved in this, I have a voice, and my voice is going to be my
Thank you, Shane.
skills.
Thanks, Mom. Silly goose. Yeah,
Silly goose.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bud. If I had that,
Oh
if I had that money, you'd get that sweater. You guys would have to be wearing matching sweaters around Christmas time.
yeah. That sweaters. I found yesterday, or no, Friday. I went to this local. It's a boat. It's. I mean, I think it's even called some kind of boutique, but they have like locally made and sourced stuff. It's not just dresses and stuff. Like they do cool NFL shirts and all kinds of stuff, as well as 3D printed stuff, and different people make candles and like soup mixes. It's crazy, but it's like the size of like an antique mall. Like it's very large. Like boutiques are usually like on the square,
Yeah,
old
just a
town. They're
little.
usually little shops. This place is huge. And one of the first aisles I went down, uh, somebody had a shirt that said "This silly goose supports the Chiefs." I was like, "That's right." I sent it to Mom and Tony because I was like, "This is perfect." And then there was another one. This lady had those the like the gnomes like Aunt Connie makes
Yeah,
the little gnomes. This lady had like a whole like a tower of them in different. There were some were Christmas, some were Chiefs. Like she had a Grinch one with a big green beard, and then on the top was this like plastic goose wearing like Santa Claus outfit. I sent it to Tony, and I was like, "Look, this fucker just eyeballing me on this tower of gooses." Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Yeah, Sean. I mean, that's just it, man. Like, if you're not gonna make it about toys, I I don't need more politics. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're talking about toys, well, tell me why yours is cool, not why you think everybody else's sucks. I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit anyway.
or just
Like
the general. Everybody else's stuff.
I don't need that shit, man. I just you know what I mean? Thank you, man. I honestly I really appreciate that.
He's really a good kid. You
Cool
know.
stuff. This place is huge. Did she say that though, Bran? Did you
No,
make that up?
he said this place is huge. This place is huge. This place is huge.
Oh, the echo because the size of it.
That's a
JB,
predator
what's up,
joke,
buddy?
right?
That's a
Hey,
predator
Justin.
joke for sure. Max, 100%. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is just
Uh,
disappointing on a whole. We, the customers, just want to like what we like and wish all these companies success so we have more options. That's the attitude right
that's
there.
right. That's right. It
By
should be
by
about.
everybody doing their best, it drives accountability and each other and every other company to do their best. It's that is the best part about capitalism. Not the greed and all that shit, but the driving because independents create that.
Get the
GI Joe
customer
may
what
may
they
have the
want.
best price point, which is definitely not true now, but they may have the best price point or option for the best price point because of their scale. Well, we don't have scale at this low end. We don't have this. I was talking to Bill Murphy yesterday. We don't have the scale. What we have is passion, direct consumer relations,
Thanks, Slade.
and
Have a good one, bud.
appreciate you, buddy. And we drive what the customers want because we're close to them. So we get to hear the customer saying, "Man, what really makes a figure pop is a wash." Got you. The next one gonna have washes because that you feel like that makes the price point worth it, and it adds next to nothing.
Yeah, it
So
does.
so if one person's doing washes and they're like, "Man, these Monster Force figures look so good. There's just layers of washes and color. Cool." Now somebody else sees that, like, all right, that's what we need to hit. That's the competition. We need to do that. And by having that friendly competition, everybody's benefiting. The consumer is always on the receiving end of that because it's it's constantly being driven. It's good.
Right. So
It's good.
yeah. So what I'm saying is that instead of making a huge battle that I won't win, I may win it philosophically, but not literally. You'll never win a battle like that if you just turn bitter. But what you can do is use that energy and put it into something super creative, right?
Mm.
But if you are an O-Ring fan, I want to zoom in on that Zargonaut and Zarlord on the back of that package. Those were characters made by Palatoy for the Action Man line. They were alien villains for the astronauts. In the late 70s, Palatoy went nuts with space related stuff. They had little vehicles, they had they had all this cool stuff. And so that's what those Argonauts are. And the Zarlord is just a lizard faced version of them. So let's zoom in because, people are like, oh my God, those are on the back of the package. Are they going to make those? I'm curious about that too. But let's just zoom in on the picture here that I took earlier on my workbench because I'd like to know what the future is for that. I mean, would they make action figures of that? I don't know. But let's look at these pictures here. Let's zoom in on the. Oops. Yeah.
Oh.
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 Yeah.
You
Probably going to make some.
Shit.
All right. So let's just take that off real quick. Under 30 seconds. I can't get in trouble for accidentally showing that picture.
Couldn't agree more, Max. Appreciate you being here, man.
That's exactly right. So that is so the Yeti on the back has those figures. So you see that Skeletron is still rocking cool shit, still trying to make cool shit. I got the Call Sign Longbow shirt on today because we are getting somewhere finally with those next figures. And I talked about this as a shadow in some other forums and some other discussions. But thanks, man.
Appreciate you. Have a great day, sir.
So talking about development, and so we know the next few O-rings are coming out. I think we've got all the adjustments made. There's an entire story behind that and why it's so ridiculous. But you see that, right? And as a creator, it's super. It really sucks because it drains you. But Troy and I have been working on what will be like the next couple of waves. We've even had like a hiccup in the comic production. I'm not sure what happened there, but we got issue 2 has been written since this time last year and drawn. It's just taken a while to get everything going. So it's everywhere. Like there's like this sense of complacency with manufacturers while we are just sitting here. We just want our stuff, we just want the stuff that we paid for. All right, sorry, I just got a message, so I know a really good friend of ours is watching this show. It's good to see the support, honestly. But anyway, you see that from Cotswold? Did you see that message?
Yeah, I did see that. Sorry, my headphones went down. I was trying to figure out what went wrong. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happens is you kind of get discouraged, and a few months ago, Troy and I decided we weren't going to be hold on here. Oh, yeah, we hit that at the same time. George, we will. This has been like I said, we don't know what's going on. We've heard what might be going on with this company. We really like working with them, but I don't know I don't know yet. So we're still trying to work all that out. The last week we've made some leaps and bounds in it just because we started asking. So I'm hoping that issue 2 will be coming pretty quick. It's the first we actually meet the hunt team, the Russian hunt team, and we watch them get assembled. So it's pretty cool. We're introduced to all these Russian call sign longbow, but the Russian version. So you got your snipers, you got your big gun guys and all that.
I mean, some of the if you were in the what was that 2022 or 23 Joe Fest when you had when the Krasny Ninja became the crowd favorite? What show was that? What year was that?
Oh, that was
I thought that was
22, right? Yeah.
Or was it? Fuck, maybe it was before that even. Maybe it was. Damn it.
Oh my god, dude.
Sorry.
I
know. and you're in well, I don't know, you're in Arizona now, right? So are you?
Is it that much earlier for him?
Yeah, it may not. Yeah. It may not be.
Oh god.
Daylight savings time
Jeff.
stuff. Sorry,
thanks for popping in though.
I appreciate you popping in
with your groggy, sleepy ass. Appreciate it, man.
Get some coffee, you fucker.
Okay, yeah. So he's even earlier. So yeah. So we're right now we are stepping up the game. Okay, we're to our when somebody says like I've had my fill or I'm at my limit, that's where we are now. And we are going to, instead of just going online and raging and having a big fit, we're going to turn that into something and get some stuff done that we've been wanting to do for a while, and we've had to put it on back burners because we didn't want to hurt feelings and all this stuff. And come on, man, you guys want the toys? I'm going to get you the toys, right? I'm going to get you this thing. I want this thing to go into production. I want that.
Tower.
Yeah. There's also a 3-wheeler. I know you guys have seen it on my shelf before. My shelf's still a mess, but
I forgot about the 3-wheeler actually.
Yeah, because we thought, what would be cool, because in the 80s, like 3-wheelers like jumped up to be this awesome thing, and they were everywhere. So we made a Recon 3-wheeler. Anyway, stuff like that, right? And when I modeled that was a very different time for me. I've learned so much more about production, so much more about tolerances and things like that. So it's like, okay, well, let's take another look at it. But also figures, lots of figures, lots of side projects with Skeletron, lots of independent projects because of our logistics situation. Everybody's using Fulfill right now. Fulfill Right is a company, like people will say, there's lots of questions people ask, but the thing about distribution, if you find the right company in the right place, it won't matter that it's further from California than it is from Nantucket. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. A good fulfillment company like Fulfill Right, they handle that. And when you're a bunch of independent guys, all right, like us, even Skeletron, they're still an independent, toy maker. Jason's Spiro Toys. Mesozoic dinosaur stuff, right? So all these guys, like, when you think about how much it costs to use Fulfill Right for us, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, but man, it's like this much a month. I'm like, okay, well, how much would a storage unit in your town cost just to keep that stuff for the month? Now, that doesn't get it shipped. That doesn't get it packed. That doesn't get a label put on it, weighed, and all that crap. None of that.
Just storage.
All that gives you is a storage space for your stuff. And then you still have to take time to go dig stuff out of storage to send out 2 orders a week. Like, it makes sense to use something like Fulfill Right.
Not to mention, I don't know if you've ever tried to unload a container by hand. Pretty awful.
It's
pretty awful.
terrible.
Because if you've got a storage unit, you don't have money for a forklift. Probably don't have a pallet jack. So you're doing hand. That's a
You're moving a box.
no.
Two people in the truck, two, maybe three on the ground if you can get the help. Or you're doing it by yourself, where you're just pushing everything to the back of the truck, jumping off, stacking all the boxes on the ground.
Terrible.
And then moving those boxes into the shed, start over. You got a full truck, it's going to take you forever. If it's a shipping container, you gotta go wherever the shipping container is. It's just, dude, there's so much in it that people don't think about, and that's okay. The consumer shouldn't have to think about how we're doing that stuff.
True. We had last Thursday, we had Mike with Diabolic Studios on to talk about Wall XD, and he doesn't use a fulfillment service. Him and his family and stuff handle all that stuff, and it sounds terrible. I mean, I get, sometimes you don't have options. Sometimes you flat out can't afford it, and when you're starting out, I could see it. Now, granted, Mike has the advantage of it being manufactured in the States, so he doesn't have to deal with the international freight or the Connex containers or anything like that. You're literally getting it straight from their manufacturer, which is advantageous, but out of reach for most people.
Message received.
Shannon wants a spaceman.
I have an idea on that, Mikey. So,
that's an interesting question.
It's a good question.
It's a big question.
What we really want to do is this is hard, okay? Because we have a very limited financial window here. Because the Kickstarter money is for the Kickstarter project, all right? And the only product we're able to sell right now is Ghost and the battle stands. And the battle stands are cool. I'm super proud of them. They're really great. They really are. They fit a ton of vintage Joes. I wouldn't put 82 to 84 figures on them. I would just stick with sticky tack or some other clever. What I'd really think needs to be done, I don't know if I'll do it or will do it. I don't know what'll happen, but I think that it should be a battle stand with a little PVC peg where you could swatch the pegs out from the bottom, just a little peg that fits in there. Just snap it in there, and then you got that soft rubber kind of feel, almost like the snake armor, the original snake armor, the attachment pieces.
Interesting.
Right? And then you would just have that peg, and you could have 2 or 3 sizes because Star Wars guys are a little different. Action Force guys are smaller still. So
they're like interchangeable, like they'd be like little like nipples, like top hat shaped nipples that
you just make the ton out of stands, and then just make trays and trays and trays of the little nipples, and people like saying nipples. So you get to make that joke all the time.
Unlimited nipple jokes. What more can you ask for?
That is also a community service that we would be offering you.
Great.
So, thank you. Pat, I don't know. If I were to ask the factory, they would say what they said last November, and that is you should have everything before Chinese New Year.
Which is February, right?
February. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's if you got a response to the email you sent inquiring about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
brutal.
I don't know.
I loved Winged Nocturnal Mammal Man.
That was one of my favorites as a kid.
Absolutely.
It had such a zippy title.
Yeah, you go to the 5 and Dime and pick up a Winged Nocturnal Mammal Man. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Get out of town.
Yeah. It is a huge question. Anytime that I feel like I am asked or I need to explain why a factory that I have no control over is not meeting our needs or is somehow pushing our dates back, it sucks. Troy and I probably fielded more questions about that and talked more about that at AR than anything else. Like, we want so bad to talk about what's coming next. This comic, there is literally a 10-year timeline for this story of what happens in each year. And the idea was that every year 12 figures would come out, and every year the comic would match those figures.
Just like GI Joe did.
Yeah, I mean that was
like
the plan.
Just like they did. They just had a quicker time with the comics.
Right. So it's frustrating, but at the same time, what is real? I have to be realistic. I have to tell you guys, I'm not going to sit here and lie to people. And I know there are other people that are going to use that against us and say like, oh, we don't have that problem. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. But we do, and I feel like it's
Don't you own the factory if you make stuff?
That is how it should work, Jeff. And as someone who spent years in logistics and research and development, I am constantly blown away at some of the communication faux pas. And I'm trying to say this as
diplomatic as
possible. At the lack of timeline management. The issue that we posted about, I'm just going to tell you guys this. I'll probably get in trouble for this, but the issue that we had this week that we were so proud of, that the figures can actually sit without their legs splaying open, we literally sent that in an email before May. Changes got made. We assumed those changes got made, but then the email was found, and now that's the issue we're fixing? What the hell, bro?
For sure.
Frustrating. It's frustrating.
For sure. I mean, I don't know how many people in our YouTube family are with with all the toy stuff that we deal with, but you especially have worked really close with Rage and Spoon developing Series 2. That was how long ago Series 2 was developed?
The Complex.
Complex, yes.
Yes. Or are you talking about the Complex?
No, Complex.
Yeah, Complex Kickstarter was before ours.
Like everybody knows the hang up with your guys' Kickstarter with Skeletrons with Marauders, and how Marauders exploding their SKU count affected everybody behind them. But Spoon was before that by 2 years.
Yeah. Now, caveat here. All right. I don't want to misconstrue facts. Spoon had that stuff at another factory first.
That's true. That's true.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah.
That factory got him wave 1, had started wave 2, which I did. I did the under Spoon's guidance. This wasn't me. He said what he wanted, and I made that stuff. All right. I modeled it. It was my first job outside, really serious production design and development that I had done. We 3D printed every part. We went to AR. Was that the last year you didn't go? Was that the year before you started going to AR?
Yeah.
So what was that? When did you start going to AR? 21?
That would have been, damn. What year was that? Wow. I really don't remember. It was, God, I want to say that was 19.
All right. All the design work was done. 3D printing was finished. All right. We printed them, Parts worked. We tested everything. Everything was good. Now, there are a lot of parts. There were a ton of individual pieces, around 120. All right. So there were these guns, there were stands, there were computers, there were catwalks, all this stuff that works with the complex system. Um, if you guys do 4-inch figures, the complex stuff, I believe Small Joe still has some of that, the original pieces that go together and form this base that is completely expandable. There's walls, and then there's walls that have doors. There's two kinds of floors. They flip over, and they're a different design on the other side. Very well designed, but there were some things that needed to be improved on that design. So Spoon's factory shut down, and this other factory, this person that we deal with now is our person there. He saved Spoon's molds. He went and got them from the factory. They were basically in the garbage. This was New Year's Eve that year, right around New Year's Eve here. Spoon and I had a lot of conversations about it. He was worried he was going to lose everything that he put into it, but that did not happen. And our guy in Hong Kong, he was over there and saved them, got them saved, and brought them into his factory. They were trashed. The molds were trashed. So they were going to recondition the molds and then start Series 2. And Series 2 is going to be all of these accessories that I just mentioned: spotlights, doors, actual doors that opened, lots of cool stuff. I don't have that behind me. It's over here still in the box that I haven't unloaded. The Wave 1, the prototype versions of all that stuff. But it was really cool. Kickstarter was successful, started development, and it has taken since then. And at AR this year, Spoon actually had some of the product in hand, about half of it, a little more than half of it. All right. So this guy has been taken. He had a person like threatened to sue him. He had this person that threatened to sue him was a $1 Kickstarter backer. Didn't order any product, but he took it upon himself to try to dox Spoon, try to convince people to go to his county and file reports with the sheriff's department. In that time, and I don't want to get into Spoon's personal life because he's a very private guy. All right,
private person, absolutely.
But what he had to do was he had to downsize his entire life just to keep feeding money into this machine. All right, he would do Raging Spoon Customs does a ton of 1/18 scale and a few 1/12 scale items. Mikey and I have both developed stuff with Spoon. But he is a caster, a classic style caster. So he will make something, he 3D prints it, and then he casts it. Now, that's more recent. In the past, and a lot of his stuff is just straight recasts of things, or things that he's modified just a little bit, But the point is, the point is that it is good. It's good stuff. He had tons of kits, tons of stuff, and he developed Complex as a way to Spoon really backs 4-inch modern style figures. A majority of it, in fact, I think almost all of it is that, except for the few classified items that he has. So developing this had to be. He had things that he wanted to do. He was like, okay, well, not only do we want these guns and these mounts to fit our complex, but also we want to put them on the the GI Joe Retaliation HISS tank that they did, the Century, whatever they call it. Not that, well, fits the Century too, because those all use the same peg size, right? It's like an 8.4 millimeter. Anyway, so Spoon was adamant that he didn't just want the stuff to fit his things, he wanted it to fit other things in that toy scale, right? So that was all part of it. And we would get halfway through development, we'd get a set of prototypes and nothing fit together. Like peg sizes way off. This doesn't fit this, and they're supposed to plug directly together. And we were, you know what they said to us? Oh, those things are supposed to fit together.
Yikes. pegs.
Well, I modeled them to fit together. Why did you change the peg size? So weird. Like that's been like all through this, right? Throwing up red flags everywhere for me because I've been in design and development, worked with a company to design something from scratch in molds and all of that. Like I've done that before. I know how this should work. And so it was just a really weird thing for me. I sent over a packet with it that was 25 pages of how every single piece is supposed to fit together and how everything is supposed to work. It even like it even looked like like a model kit where it like said don't glue here but glue here, with the little glue with the X in it. It was a beautiful document. I spent a lot of time on it and they never looked at
Yeah.
it. And then, partway through, they're like, well, here's our problem is these parts that we just made don't fit the series 1 stuff. So these were out of series 1 molds from that other factory. So he had to, I say we, it's not me. I am financially not taking the hit. Spoon is, but so he's had these struggles like all through this, just one thing after another. And he, like I say, downsized his life so that he could continue to focus on stuff for the Rage and Spoon website, to find jobs that he could do to make sure that he could keep money going. And that money goes directly into that account so that he has money for when the stuff is ready, he can pay for it. So he's been hanging on to that money for this long, right? He's not like taking extravagant vacations. Spoon is one of those guys, he comes to the show fully acknowledging that he hopes he makes enough money at the show to pay for him coming to the show. Like he's one of those guys. He doesn't spend that money frivolously. He doesn't spend it at all. He doesn't have to. He's not a guy hiding behind like, yeah, I'll take you to dinner as a business expense. That's not Spoon. That's not what he does.
Definitely not Spoon.
His money goes back. Everything he makes outside of living goes into keeping that account up and running. And another project that he has where he developed a 4-inch modern style action figure, a small line with another company, which is pretty cool. Their heads are all kind of designed to look like the bad guys in Dino Riders. So there's like a dragon, lizard, and a fish-looking guy, and a hammerhead shark. They're pretty cool stuff. It's called Starplex. I don't know how much he's got online about Starplex, but super cool. Pretty cool line to check out if you're into the modern stuff. Definitely. Back to the story. So Spoon is just now shipping out some of his Series 2 Kickstarter. All right. That's great, right? That's awesome of him to do that. So what that means, though, is when the rest of the sets trickle in, he's got to pay to ship all that stuff again. It's great that the factory gave me half of what I asked for, or one figure out of 11. But please don't just send me one figure at a time, so I have to pay that. I have to pay that over and over. Like, help me out here, factory. You're killing me here. Are we going to make the customer pay for that? No. That's not your problem. Your problem is you paid for action figures. You went all in on a big set of action figures, and that's what we're going to make sure you get, whatever that takes. And as a maker, that you eat that, you learn from it, and you learn something like you didn't think about when you first started this whole thing. When I talked to a factory, do I ask the factory up front? I'm just going to say, listen, you need to tell me how much of this you can make, okay, and deliver in the timeline. Because if it's more than that, I want you to tell me now, and we cut the Kickstarter, we cut the funding, pre-order, we cut it off at 4 SKUs. If you can make 4 complete action figures and that's all you can make in a quarter, make me 4. Don't tell me you could try to make 8 and then string me out, because I'm going to get money for it one time. And that in that calculation of how much I made in the Kickstarter, I am assuming that I'm going to ship everybody 1 box. But rising tide, right? Mm-hmm. Skeletron starts and says, like, you know what? We have this one. Longbow has this one. I think we should go ahead and get those shipped out to the people. You know what? You're probably right. I don't care where we have to put it. Was it marketing, was it whatever? But as a company, that was a decision we made. And as I said before, I know I've said this before. We work very closely with Skeletron on tons of things. More about that later. But that's something that you don't think about. And like I said, I don't want you to have to think about it. All I want to do is explain to you why these things happen and how utterly powerless the creator is to change it.
Yep.
You get in with a company, you get in with a factory. Spoon has all his stuff at that factory. All of it's there. There's a bunch of molds. There was 120 parts,
Mm-hmm.
That includes like the little things, the little holders for the lights, and 120 parts. But the kits, if you bought the whole set, was way more than 120 parts because there were 5 of these lights and 4 computer stands and this and this
Right.
and this, and it builds up.
Mm-hmm.
One of the see if I have this here. I'm going to show you guys this. I'm just going to show you on my phone, but I don't know how this will work. See that? So that's a hiss, and these are spoons. This is a complex gun sets snapped into it. All right. Even better.
Hell yeah.
Here it is on a Robo Skull, right? These out here on the wings. That's complex weapons. Pretty cool. All right. And it shows you how much Spoon design intent, right? I talk about that all the time. He wanted that up front. Skeletron wanted that up front. Everybody wanted that up front. Everything we do, we need to try to not only interchange with Hasbro's target that we are, homaging, but also anything we do together with each other, right? There's no sense in making different backpack sizes or making different T hooks. Sometimes that happens because the new sculpting, the way sculpting is done now isn't like it was, and a buck doesn't mean what it used to. A build buck, not a dollar. Build doesn't mean what it
that too. That too.
Yeah. So I'm using Spoon as an example because at AR he had product, and I was super happy for him for that. And he couldn't do a lot with it because he hadn't sent everything out to the backers yet. But we actually got to touch it, play with it, and it was great, man. That was my first design job, like outside of working for a big company. But it wasn't the first product that I had something to do with that I had in my hand. That was Strike Force Alpha. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I just want to explain some of this and how. And what I've said here is that multiple companies, I named some independent companies earlier, right? So, the Skeletron guys are like, I really don't want to pay for an entire shipping container. So what if a bunch of us small guys just share a container? Yeah, it might mean we got to wait an extra month, but if we share it, we could save half the cost.
100%.
So that ended up happening. That's why, okay, there's your enlightenment, right? Skeletron figures were at AR. Raging Spoon stuff was at AR. Spiro stuff, his new stuff is being sold on the websites, right? All in the same container because we worked together.
Yep.
This is why the other thing I talked about way earlier irritates me so bad. Working together makes us better creators. Don't build things in a vacuum. Don't think I'm going to build something better than anybody ever has, and everybody else's stuff is going to suck. I mean, there's always a part of you that's like, everybody's going to want this more. Sure you do, because you're trying to sell a product. I want to sell a product that you guys want to buy.
Yeah.
I want to make something so cool that you guys are like, I don't like O-rings anymore, but holy shit, that Krasny Ninja is one of the coolest figures I've ever seen.
Yep.
earlier. You know, I think it was Charlie was saying that he did. Was it him that said he only had one action force figure?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep, Bear 11.
yeah. So you know, my goal now in my head is like somehow, dude, I want to figure out what you like and show you the Action Man figure, the Action Force figure you should buy to go with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite Action Force figures is the Red Wolf. He drives the Roboskull, the original Roboskull. He very much had a TIE Fighter pilot vibe.
Very much, yeah.
I could not find mine this morning. I don't know what I did with it because this was part of my bit today.
He's one of the rarer Action Force figures because you could only get him with that.
With the first
version.
The next year they put Wild Weasel in there.
Wild Weasel.
And if you know your Action Force lore, you know some of this stuff, especially with all the stuff that the Roboskull's been doing. And I do want to say, Wilhelm made a few comments here. Yeah, the Starflex figures are very cool stuff. I appreciate that, buddy. I really do. But man, I'm so excited for you guys to get these because the Krasny Ninja is going to be there. That is one of the most popular figures outside of the terrorist tracksuit mafia guy. Those are two almost most popular figures that people bought outside of the main set. That doesn't. I haven't looked at the numbers since Ghost has been readily available on the Skeletron site, but his numbers have gone up. In our world, 100 units being sold in a 6-month period feels pretty good, right? I'm not Hasbro, man. I don't need to sell 1 million in here. I just need to.
Well, you guys don't do the campaigns either, like
Skeletron. If I had 2,500 of them left over after the Kickstarter stuff sent out, if I sold 2,000 of those, I wouldn't even know what to do. I really wouldn't. I mean, that's just not how that works. You just have to scale it realistically. What can I pay for? What can I sell? Whereas the benefit of doing a 3,000 figure run to save $2 when I'm going to be stuck with 1,500 of those for 10 years. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying anything bad about that. That is the weakness of a niche market. And with so many of us building stuff, and on the other hand, so many of us having tight times right now where you really have to decide which one am I going to buy.
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm showing you the one that you want to buy. Right? Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Well, that's cool. So here's the deal. I was talking about Red Wolf, right? And I've talked about this before. How the Wolf Trooper, right? When we did the 3 3/4 inch Wolf Trooper, that's what he's called in 3 3/4, right, Mikey? In the lore,
I
the back of the
so.
box.
I believe so.
Oh, let me dig one up here. Oh.
Yeah, Wolf Trooper's the basic one. Yeah.
Yeah.
In all scales and formats.
Okay, so this is him. All right, and you can see he shares arms and legs with Ghost. All right, this all came from some design sketches that I had helped with. So Ghost is my favorite of all the figures, but the Wolf Trooper is second. I don't think I have his helmet up here. The helmet is how you can tell that he was made to look like the original Red Wolf. That helmet, that design, these splayed shoulders, all that is all part of that look, right? And then that is carried on. As Mikey shown earlier, this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, sculptor extraordinaire Mark O'Byrne took the design of the 3 3/4 figure and made the 6-inch version. So, and I've said this for a long time. I believe that the right now, if you're doing something or building something, you should probably really try to focus on 1/12 scale, right? Marvel Legends have been that scale for years. Lots of things are that scale, and right now that seems to be a mover. I know people talk about peg warmers and stuff at Walmart, but I've seen a ton of stuff come off of that display, and a majority of the toys on that display, even though wrestling figures are slightly different scale, a majority of those figures are 6-inch figures. Obviously, the Barbies aren't, which I'm super surprised Mattel hasn't tried to figure that out. But yeah, you had GI Joe, you had Star Wars, Black Series, wrestling, even though not exactly the scale, Masters of the Universe, and if but going through there, a majority of that floor display was 6-inch figures or close to that scale, so pretty easy to move around. So it makes me really think that 1/12 scale would be a good scale. So I don't know. We did not show this at the last one, but this is super critical. I asked my favorite customizer to do some work for me because I wanted to pitch this, share this with you guys.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
So I was going to tell you guys what I'm thinking here. What I'm pitching to, what I've pitched to both my partner Troy and to the team at Skeletron. This line would be a line of the call sign longbow team as we've designed them in 3 3/4 scale, right? This is a 1986, 85, 86 team. So where everybody else is doing totally modern stuff, right? Everybody's like cutting edge modern future soldier, all that stuff. Everybody's doing that. But this line is a 1985 line as an homage to, the GI Joe comic, the file cards, the GI Joe aesthetic, right? But in 6-inch, very simple stuff. Now, Mikey, being the artist that he is, he managed to build these looking pretty close to what our figures look like with gear that is readily available. But as you guys know, Ron Rudat was a vet, and he interspersed within the line lots of things from that Vietnam era into the 1985 stuff, even though the military was actually phasing a lot of that out. So no one really has really focused on that. So I think it's a good focus, right? So that's but Mikey did this, and it was pretty convincing. So that there may be some movement on that in the next few months. That will not be the same factory. That'll be a different factory, and this will not take any funds from the Kickstarter. This is a totally separately funded thing. So that's something that is being worked on. The discussion was also made to obviously one character missing here is Ghost, because we didn't have the Wolf Troopers at that time to try to build something. So there's conversation about, well, how does Ghost fit in with the Skeletron, lore? So that's so this is all part of that. Is there traction? Can there be? I don't know yet. But start doing some work on that. Start figuring out how to bridge the gap between this 1985 series and a couple of characters that don't necessarily need to be made for the 1985 series. I mean, I'm imagining them all coming on retro cards and all that, the whole thing. But maybe they don't all come on retro cards. Maybe there's modern versions of a couple of characters. I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure all that out. But Mikey did this, and this was what I needed to convince other people this was something to look at. So I'm looking at it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what everything I was saying earlier. Like, it's easier for me, instead of to sit and dwell on things people have said and be angry. What does feel right is to take that energy and do something creative with it. It's I prefer to say what I want to say with action, and that doesn't mean violence. That means action. The action is, all right, let's make something different.
Hell yeah.
Same thread, same. Oh, did you have that idea first? That's cool. There's a lot of guys making O-ring figures right now, and nobody's angry at each other. Nobody's throwing shit at each other or calling each other shitty names.
Almost none.
Well, just the new guy. But we get support. Carson stuff's getting ready to ship. First wave of stuff from his Kickstarter. 3D Joe's. That's exciting. Super exciting. Right? You got that Delta 17 stuff out there. Super cool. Before I took down my Detolfs at my other place, they were with all the other O-rings that have come out this year.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys follow Matt LaCroix at all, but he's taken some Strike Force Alpha stuff and turned it into like a Santa Claus version of it. Pretty cool. I really want one of those. It's pretty. Jason, the guy that runs Strike Force Alpha, he also has several other lines of toys that he plays in and works on. And the guy is a super creative and really good at thinking about just random uses for things that you didn't even think about. He's really good at that. He has been since I've known him. I've known him for a long time, and I always love that. And then Matt takes it to a different level with paint apps to put the right colors in the right places.
Yeah.
So sure. That's all pretty cool to me to see that. I have zero ill will towards those guys. The Delta 17 guys are great. They support each other. We've talked about, joining forces and working on some stuff. Lots of that. These O-ring, especially the larger, I'm going to say, independents, but the, mid-level independents. You got some guys out there cracking out some pretty cool stuff in O-ring scale that are making army builders and things like that. Sure. That's pretty, it's cool. And I will support all of those guys. I feel like that's the right thing to do. If I love O-ring stuff, then why wouldn't I support somebody doing something new, especially if it's cool stuff? I'm not, if you, and I'm not saying I would do that. I'd do that for anybody, but there really is some cool stuff out there. At the same time, there's some 1/12 scale stuff that is upping the game. Yeah, Patrick. Those guys, I have back to that Kickstarter. I've known those guys a long time. Very good friends with one of the guys in that. Done some design work with him.
Yep.
So again, that's going to be pretty cool. And I accept that sometimes you just have to pick what you're going to pick your poison and stick with it. Yes, exactly. I understand that. completely understand that. I think Wilhelm, in because there's nothing I got going on right now like this, but I feel like for us to ever get decently scaled vehicles, we're going to have to maybe work together. There are several vehicles that Delta 17 might have that would fit in with our aesthetic. There's several vehicles that we have that would fit in with their aesthetic. Troy and I did this because we wanted to build Red Army troops from that era, and that included helicopters, Russian helicopters, Russian tanks. Now, what we want to do there is just, it really sucks to spend money that's for call sign longbow until we get the product delivered. And that is seriously, though here on one side, it is seriously stunting our ability to grow, but on the other side, when that stuff is ready to release, it is going to be an explosion of product.
All right.
An explosion of product. It won't be like going and all we need is a little part of a table because we don't have anything to sell. We will have product to sell. It's going to be a ton of it. But if anything we do, I can assure you guys, anything we do, we would definitely push any other factory to meet the standards that this factory meets. I don't like the research and development timeline, but the product can't be argued with.
Sure.
Both the Red Wolf in O-Ring and Ghost are tremendously good figures. For that, they fit in very nicely with other lines. They look good. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we're on the right track. So I haven't given up on it. I'm actually probably more stoked now with some of the stuff that we've been working on right before AR that Troy and I finished up, and then Troy's working on some other stuff for that. If we were to do a 112 scale line, that would probably be my job, my work to do, whereas Troy would still focus on the O-ring stuff and keep developing it, and then I would work with our partners to build the 112 scale that we would want.
Right.
But that's that's still just a talk. It's still just a concept. I just think it'd be really cool. I think that the 1986 time frame would be a great time frame. There'd be some great customizing opportunities there, especially if you're a GI Joe comic fan.
Definitely.
Classic fatigues and jackets, web systems, and rifles. There's some good stuff, right? That we don't really have a good reputation of. And Hyper Scout. I know, man. I know.
Yep.
I know. But and I've talked about this before, and Troy has talked about this. We've both talked about this on other podcasts and stuff. One thing that we consider, and one thing we are putting in the queue of thinking about, is using a U.S. manufacturer to build it. One of the biggest parts that raised the price up is paint apps. And, Hasbro vehicles, they didn't have paint apps back in the day. Now they do, but back in the day they did not. It was like a model kit that you put together, you snapped it together, threw the shit away that you didn't use, and that's what you played with.
Yep.
If we did that, and all we're talking about is a couple of pieces molded in a different color, depending on the tree, the tree that goes in, the sprue, the mold sprue, depending on that, you'd have all this stuff. You'd have all this ability to do that right here in the States. You may still need to get the molds cut in China. That, as of 6 months ago, that was still a cheaper bet. It was cheaper to have a mold built in China and shipped over here than it was to try to have the molds made here. That may have changed a little bit in 6 months. Things have economically changed for companies, just like it changed for us. Yeah. So there's that. So there's a lot going on. And we're going to still keep with a couple of kooks. We're still going to make small items and things. I may make something that is for a prototype that we're not going to use, or we can't figure out how to use it. Be fun just to print it in 3D, just to do it. I've always said I wanted to do action figures in 3 scales. I wanted to do O-ring. I wanted to do 1/12 scale, and I want to do 1/6 scale. And every step that is taken, if I can prove the validity of that scale, and there is numbers there, then that's what we'll push to make.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's there you go. That's my Sunday morning spiel.
Good spiel. Good spiel. Yeah.
Probably more interesting than moving scopes around on rifles.
I think so. I think
maybe not. Maybe not.
I think it was more interesting, but I can't speak for everybody. But it is interesting to see some progress made on projects that we're fans of and following and that kind of thing. So that's definitely great.
Yeah, this is one of those things that even Sphero Toys, they saw this earlier, where they were doing everything in the 4-inch modern format, and their owner was like, "Man, that's dwindling out. And there's all this 6-inch stuff that just keeps, like Marvel Legends keeps pumping stuff out. The Black Series on Star Wars keeps pumping stuff out. I do not know how that is sustainable, but Hasbro can lose a lot of money and make a lot of product that is now selling at Ollie's for $1. That was a $25 item on the shelf. I can't help that their marketing and their ability to make interesting movies for a group of people that actually will buy the toys from that movie seems to be lacking.
Yeah.
I think it's great to do some of the things that they're doing, but I'm pretty sure that those people not only will not pay for movie tickets, they're sure as hell not going to buy toys from that movie.
Especially not 2, 3, 4 years after the movie came out.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. But,
that's a good idea, Brad.
There you go. Marvel and DC have long since struggled with who they think reads comic books. So I can't be surprised that the bigger company has even less of a sight of their demographic.
Yeah, and one thing, I don't want to dig into that, but one thing that is solidly true for the last 5 years is Japanese comics still follow the same procedures that Japanese comics have always taken. Same kind of characters, same this, same that, and they're still sell better than anything we make here. I'm not talking about Japan numbers, I'm talking about here. Like, Japanese comics sell better here. What do they do different? Not the art, even though the art is back and forth, The art matches where that comic is made, and that culture, if you can appreciate that, it's pretty easy to deal with. They're still good reads, even though they're translated. They're interesting books with interesting characters that most people can relate to. When you make a comic that is for 5% of a fan base, the other 95% are not going to be interested in that character because they don't see any of themselves in that character. There's no hero or villain or anti-hero. It doesn't matter. If you're reading the book, it's because maybe you see a little bit of yourself in that. That's why Spider-Man was so popular. Young people were like, holy shit, he's a kid like me. He gets picked on by bullies. He deals with all this stuff. His uncle died. I dealt with some tragedy. Let's see how this kid deals with the tragedy. Man, I want to strive to be like that guy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he came from or or the color of his skin if I can relate to that character and their character. Not what they look like. It doesn't matter what they look like. I mean, that's, Snake Eyes was great because we didn't know anything about him. We didn't know who was under that mask. It was fun because it could be you. It wasn't on purpose, but it was a pretty brilliant strategy. You just knew that he was a moral character. He was a good guy, and that's what you want to be, most of us, or at least the appearance of that if you're a sociopath. So when you forget that, when you forget that the people that have bought the comics, even when comics weren't selling at all, there were still people that were buying those comics, still loving Batman, still loving Spider-Man. Those guys were buying those comics when no one else was buying comics, when all the other guys like fell off to the side.
Yep.
Independents have learned that. If you're going to sell a comic, you got to make it about somebody. That's why Spawn was popular. Like the idea that a guy sold his soul, and now has to deal with the repercussions of that. Like, what does that mean? That's interesting.
Yep.
It wasn't 4 or 5 pages of weird stuff that doesn't make any sense to most of America or most of your demographic. They're not that. And if you want to say, well, that's because you're all basement dwellers living in your mom's basement, okay. But if I'm taking mom's money and buying your comic every month, who cares? If I'm doing a YouTube video about how great this comic is because of these reasons, but I will never buy the issue, what's the point? Social cred is social cred. That's an online thing. That's not real life. The numbers are real life. You make what people will buy, or you don't, and you just suck whatever the owner is, gets sucked dry of all their money and complain because sales are down. Well, nobody must be buying anything. Well, because right now most people are trying to figure out how they're going to afford a turkey for Thanksgiving meal. So I'm not going to go spend $4 or $5 on a shiny comic that I don't even want to read.
Right. Yeah.
But luckily, we got guys like George Vega that make these sweet covers that make you pick something up, even if you might not. It's not forgotten for a while. Cover art can really make something happen. It could be a book in a series, and not much happens in that series. But you see that cover and you're like, oh man, that's very dynamic, very cool. And you buy that comic and you're like, oh, maybe I should get in on this story. That does happen, whether we want to admit it or not. We'll buy a comic just because when Mikey and I go through comics at a shop, we're looking for cool covers on old comics, that look good.
I mean, even new stuff. I mean, issue 1. This is the TPB, the first volume. That was issue 1. That this version of Wolverine, I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I flipped through it and I was like, the art's pretty good. Colossus is a big part of it. That's my favorite mutant. Wolverine looks cool. Then I find out he's the Winter Soldier, and I'm like, yeah. Now that became my very first pull list at a comic shop was Ultimate Wolverine because of cover art. That's what got me to pick up that book, and that's what got me started collecting a modern book. Before that, I would collect stories that I liked or cover art that I liked. I mean, I got a few Friday that weren't anything crazy, but I got Uncanny 233 because Colossus.
Yeah.
I got New Mutants 34 because Magic.
That's a great cover too.
I got New Mutants 40 because Captain America taking down Magneto is pretty dope.
Is that Simonson art?
Yeah, I believe so. I think most of these are.
Most of those were
New Mutants 46. Cool cover art. Again, Colossus, my dude. And then 73. I'm not a big fan of this art, but Colossus and Darkchild No More.
I love that cover, and it's really cool in the storyline. It's a really cool part of the story, but it's a really nice cover. We see that that image a lot in comics, to show the tragedy where the hero or heroine is carrying the
Yep.
body. It's not a copy of anything else that's done. That is a very striking pose because it is Colossus and he's so big, so it looks even more the dark colors on it really like bring that the sadness, the darkness out, the agony that entire storyline is.
Yeah.
With
The
the
sky,
exception of a couple of
fire,
them
the
characters.
buildings look rough. Like everything about it emotes the story. Like everything about it is it's tragedy. It's life and death. Like
Yeah, and it
but
fits in.
almost all of these were purchases because of covers. I mean, with Ultimate Wolverine, I'm even buying alternates, like alternate covers. Like
That's
art
very
matters. It matters to
finding
me.
more finding more Total War, Mars Patrol stuff.
I found I've only found two issues in the wild. I bought both of them, but I've only ever seen two. Johnny never has the key, the gold key or whatever the publisher was. He never has that
When
old.
I was going through stuff in here, one of the big things that I had to do to get this room set and to get where I wanted to be was get my books in here. And I realized like I only have like 8 issues.
There aren't really very many, are there?
There might be 20. I was going to dig
Yeah,
into that, but I was digging into some other stuff yesterday. But
I
what you
knew it
guys know,
wasn't all that many.
this is Mars Patrol Total
Yeah,
War. That's what it is. The first run of the comics were all painted covers like that. If you're curious about it, I think you can still get this on Amazon. I believe this is the first 3 issues in this trade.
which is
Um,
cool.
so this is I know we've talked about it before. It's a team of these purple aliens, which just look like army guys painted purple with weird faces. They've started to attack places on Earth. Now, so this international squad, this is from 1965, I believe, just so when you pick up on where this comes from, with this international squad of very diverse soldiers. Um,
And
there's,
each one is
there's
a different color. Like that's not a
yeah,
trick on the comic. That's
this
the
is
design.
literally they are yellow, blue, red, and green. Right? So there is an Asian frogman, I believe, is the frogman. There is a African American. There's a British guy, and then the pilot is an American. So this team is just a team put together that the government puts together to send into these war zones. Visually, it's really cool. Like I said, they are these colors, and the bad guys are purple. Okay, so visually, it's really cool. I would always applaud anybody making toys to make the bad guys purple
Purple's good.
because it's nobody can say you're copying Cobra because these guys 65, right? Bad
Long
guys are
before
purple. I was trying to find a page here that showed
Larry Hama was still in Nam.
yeah, yeah. I think like the front page is them attacking with their purple tanks, boats, purple troopers. It's pretty cool. It's
And
pretty cool.
the
And
covers aren't they gouache? Aren't they all done like painted like
those were then they changed. They did these that were the full painted covers. Now, what I mean by full painted, all the way to the back,
I've not seen that
right?
one. I love
And
that
that's
one.
something you miss when you're picking these up at the comic shop because they'll have a white backerboard in it. So you totally miss the fact that it's got this. It wraps around.
True.
So exciting. I love these colors.
They're
But then
really
they
good.
changed as Gold Key did. Then they went to the yellow on the top. So in this
Yep.
view, you see our 4 good guys. Right on. So you see them, and the covers. I think they stopped wrapping them around. They just used a simpler, just to do a cover shot. But
Let's dive in.
and these are comics that I would love to see. Yeah, but on the back of this one is a Sweet Daisy rifle.
Ooh, that's pretty good That's
Yeah,
pretty good advert right there.
that makes me
That's pretty
happy. I
good.
love seeing that. So
Agreed.
so here they are, like here they are fighting some purple guys.
So cool.
purple tank. Just great, just cool stuff. So
So cool.
what I'm saying is that some of this may or may not have inspired a certain toy line that we all know and love that has a very predominantly navy blue bad guy look. This is serious because the Lincoln Memorial is in it.
Ooh, that one's cool. Oh,
Yeah,
look at that Starfighter.
yeah. Well, this is we got, and that's the other thing because of the era. There's
That is a
Sabernet.
ratty fucking issue, dude. That is rough.
Hey man,
I love it.
The good one's in here.
I love it. That's awesome. No, that's great.
That is actually, this is the first one I ever bought.
Oh, that's
it
cool.
It was like literally cheaper when I bought it than it was when it was new.
That's hard to believe.
I think it was a 10-cent comic.
That's
but
awesome.
I saw the art on it. And then later they went to just this kind of stuff.
Still good art.
Yeah,
Not nearly as impacting as the gouache though. But almost all the Gold Key stuff, almost all of everything they did, the Lone Ranger stuff, everything had beautiful covers on it.
And this is when Gold Key was doing these encyclopedia pages, right?
That's
like
cool.
It just talks about dinosaurs and what they're called, and it just cracks me up. Like they were like,
that's cool.
And it is Gold Key, so you get your page of jokes you can irritate your parents with.
Hell yeah.
Good stuff. But the story's fun. They are just 4 soldiers, but they do their thing and do what they're told. And through the story, they try to figure out who these bad guys are and why they picked us and lots of stuff. It's fun though. It's really cool. And it reminded me of the sandbox playing as a kid. Where it didn't matter what the toy was, if you could somehow fit it into the story, it worked. But even reading the dialogue and things like that, you really see that. You really see some of the even that the guys that were doing Marvel, like some of the dialogue and stuff like that. A lot of it, you get a real Nick Fury feel to it. Yeah, so the creator of this was Wally Wood, who created some pretty cool stuff. He's passed away. I did at one time in my life had spent some time trying to find out if there was a way to get some sort of agreement to be able to make that. I thought it would have been really cool. He just 4 action figures and a couple of bad guys in 2 different designs in purple, red, yellow, blue, green, and that's the line, right? That's it. That's all it had to be. It's just a 6-figure line, I would have loved that. I would have thought that was really cool, but that didn't happen. It was very difficult to. I guess there's a lot of people trying to pick Wally Wood's estate apart. I guess I don't know. Don't know the whole story, but I do know that it's pretty sad. Somebody like that. This is one of those creators of comics at a time when nobody cared. You made comic books. Like you had very little value. I mean, you were looked at as just a cheap artist, and a lot of those guys, even up into the 70s, even Marvel, and Marvel did that long enough that a lot of creators were like, you know what, no, I'm just gonna go make my own comic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gold Key stuff is pretty cool, and I love that Total War stuff. I was digging through stuff and I found that little niche of them, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have near as, because I thought I had more, but it turns out I have a bunch of really ratty doubles. But that is so when I see those, I try to pick them up. They're usually not very expensive, and they are cool. And if you are a GI Joe fan, I do recommend trying to pick this one up from Dark Horse. This Dark Horse Archives, called Mars Patrol Total War. It's really cool. And reading it, if you were a fan of the GI Joe comics, or you're a fan of like Nick Fury and some of those, you really see the impact that comic may have had on things that happened later.
Sure. It's just interesting that how limited it is. Like there really aren't very many issues, but obviously some people that made other things down the road, limited as it is, it was impactful. I mean, it it made a mark on people.
Yeah, when you think about all the comics that were made, like that EC and Goki were making at that time, and you say like, well, how many of those has anybody ever done a 3-issue trade paperback of? You know, like there are volumes of Unknown Soldier. I believe you can get that in trade form, but they're big volumes. There's a few others, you know, but some of these like classic, like nobody's going to do one of which I love this, and if somebody tells me there is one, I would love to know. But the classic on a horse Ghost Rider, white.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Even like Rawhide Kid, Jonah Hex did get some popularity there when they were trying to pimp the movie, so they were like releasing licenses for people to do some new stuff, you know. So, but you look at something like that, and then Dark Horse actually saw enough in that they're like, you know, let's just throw this out and see what it does. They may have just done it because they needed to keep that license because they had that Gold Key license.
Oh.
May have just did it, and they went through and picked like 5 Gold Key comics and said, okay, we'll make trade paperbacks of these. Sure. So we say we're still publishing it. You know? Like I say, I don't dabble in that industry as much as I used to. I'm pretty cynical about that industry as it sits right now. It's pretty.
I think anybody who's had anything to do with it or tried to get into it is pretty cynical about it.
And you should be.
I mean,
you should be because it's really rough. But guys like Gabe, you know, Gabriel Mangum, George Vega, who may still be on. You guys are keeping that classic style alive, and I think a lot of things will start going back to that as things normalize. And if the stories are good and people, you know, people love the art, people love the stories. Man, I love George's art. You know, of Gabriel.
100%.
Gabe in the last 2 or 3 years has really. He didn't stop. You know what I mean? He didn't say like, "Hey, I'm perfect." Like he has really worked on his art, and it's just gotten better. He does his inks. He's gotten way better with the lines. You know, there's a lot of people that like, "Hey, I'm a digital inker." Like that's fine, but until you get to be a digital inker where you fool me, I'm just like, yeah, you're making coloring book pages. You're just using this really hard line. You outline every single thing with a really heavy line with no weight difference. There's something to that. Inkers, I've said this, I think, on one of the shows we did with you, me, and Zach, like talking about it. Like, inkers are like forgotten heroes of comic book art, especially in the 70s and 80s.
Well, for so long, they were tracers. You know, like you don't even draw, you just trace. Right until you see a before and after and really get to appreciate. Well, there's definitely something to that. I mean, like one of the really good examples that you've seen and you probably don't know it, but like Jim Lee, like when he started out, like Jim Lee's early stuff, it's okay, it's all right, but then like as he started to like because he did his own inks there for a long time, right?
Yeah,
and it changed.
Even when Jim back then, Jim would do the art. But he would do the sketches, the drawings so tight that he didn't leave a lot of room for the inker to do something else. He would convey the line weights, he would convey all of that in the sketch. Yeah. But then you take something like Daredevil Born Again. All right. Miller does these great pencils. There's other people helping with pencils, and they're good because Miller has a cinematic vision, right? So when he positions a character or a figure on a page, he is really looking at what it looks like as cinema, right? And which is why, especially, I think Born Again is a really good example of not only is it a really good story, but the art in it is so, yeah, it's so beautiful. But what makes it, what you see the original pencils, right? You can see lots of pictures of that original pencils done by Frank that Klaus Janson goes in and inks. and you see, like, not only did Klaus share that vision, but he knew how to make that pop off the page. So Frank's doing these really great pencils that are tight. He knows exactly how he wants everything positioned. Inker comes in, a good inker like Klaus Janson, and he just takes it to the next level. And what you get is a movie on the page. You know, I have a copy of the Born Again, like the trade, and it is probably one of my most read comics. It is, as Mikey knows, it is beat to
Kind of hold the pages together anymore.
so and that is good for me because just because that says something about it, right?
This Maddie running the jump, that's cinematic as fuck. It's so good.
You know, there's comic artists that do really in your face stuff. I think about Howard Chaykin, right? Guys like that. Other guys that have done like the Nick Fury comics, Steranko and stuff like that. They do these really great pages. But Miller gives you the pictures like you're watching them in a movie. And it takes somebody like Jansen. George says this. Williams took it. He took the vision and took it where to make it better. It doesn't mean that Jim Lee is one of the greatest comic artists of all time.
No.
But what it does say is that, and you can see this. I tell you a really good example, and that is in the GI Joe comic that McFarlane penciled. Excuse me. The inking in it is weak. Is so McFarlane, you could tell he just did very loose pencils, and the inker just went in there and looked like he went in with a pen and just traced it out like it's like zero effort. But then you look at something like Spawn, or you look at Batman Year One. Is it Year One that McFarlane does, or Year Two? Year Two, right? The original, not the new wave stuff, but the one where he takes on the Grim Reaper and he's got and McFarlane did that. You see like McFarlane's technical skill, like his hardline skill is so prevalent in that, in the way he draws Batman's cape, you know, like just, it's cool. I do love that book. I do love the art in that, but you see the art in that and you see that McFarlane is a really good artist, you know. What the hell happened with that GI Joe book? And there's probably somebody's probably done a show or something about it at some time. I don't know what happened to it, but I know as a kid, like, you know, getting a hold of it, I was like, oh, this is so exciting. So yes, it was. I remember that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dan Green, like Byrne has a very competent artist. I am not going to trash John Byrne, but if I did have one critique, it's that his faces, until later on, until after the mid 80s, it just looked like the exact same face with different hair on it. And people critiqued him for that. And I think somewhere during, I think it was when he was doing She-Hulk, somewhere in there, something switched with him, and you started noticing that changed. And George, I may be wrong about the timeline here, but I'm thinking that was somewhere when he was doing She-Hulk. Suddenly, like, his face work really changed. And it wasn't for the worse, but it was a critique that somebody probably told him, you know, or, you know, he read somewhere, because, you know, we didn't have the internet there, so he didn't have instant validation or criticism of every single thing he did. But he probably read something somewhere and he thought, you know, okay, I don't want to get lost in the, you know, annals of history as the guy that did really great comics, but the faces all look the same, and he kind of changed it up. And that's hard to do when you got a guy like Batman and Superman, right? They're both supposed to be archetypical characters, and, you know, whether we like to admit it in modern times or not, there are certain face shapes that are attractive and that are not attractive. You know, and when you're just drawing an archetype, it's going to be that strong jawed, wide chin. That's going
Yep.
to be your archetype, right? Tapered chin on a woman, bigger eyes. You got the things that make those things work.
Yep.
So when you mess with that, it's kind of that's a challenge. So yeah, I mean that's I got you. Oh, weighing in on the mortar, short fuses mortar.
Yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta do it right. You gotta do it right. You wanna appease the mortarmen. You gotta do
If you're
it.
going to do a mortar man, then maybe talk to a mortar man.
Probably should. Probably should. I know they have military consultants. Consult with them.
So what do you think they did there that they missed for Lemon Charlie? What do you think that did you think they just used something simple and just didn't think about how it should really work, or what do you think there? I'm curious. I love short fuses. Yeah, I loved him when I was a kid because he in the comics and shit he had glasses, and I had glasses and I was in fifth grade, so it was like, oh man, there's a guy in a comic book that has glasses. It's like when I was a kid buying action
Like the only
figures. If
one.
they had the name John, that I'd buy it. Like, oh, John, that's the one I'm going to buy.
John Eagle. Yes,
John
please.
Eagle? Hell yeah.
Well, I think I did see. Yeah, Jacob's here. Jacob. I found number 4. I found it.
All right. Let's see. Oh man, we've been burning some time here.
We did. We did burn some time. We did. I did. I did get the ultimate Deadpool or maximum Deadpool yesterday.
Yeah.
I got it. I got it. Got it from Johnny. And it's already in pieces, becoming uncanny. That's what I wanted.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you, buddy.
Have a good day, sir. Click Cliff. I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, I put that up a minute ago. Okay, I just wondered if looking at it, you thought all they did was this. What the
hell? Yesterday, I did start messing with Leatherneck. I'm not happy about the arm, so I might have to mess with the torso a little bit. But he's no longer a little guy.
Good.
Like if I put him,
that makes sense that they would just try to mix them and not. I don't know. That actually designed for that group. That's probably what happened.
Probably you probably Google one image and that's the one you use.
Yeah. That doesn't happen for me. Like I spent like 4 hours looking at scopes before I decided on one. Look at those 2 units.
Yeah, he's just a scotch taller than Wetsuit. I feel that's right. I feel like I've corrected the second Marine that they made short. I don't know what their beef is with Jarheads and Leathernecks, but
what are you gonna do with mainframe? Firefly body?
Yeah, I swapped Firefly.
Would you just paint thinner the camo off?
I didn't even do that because I wasn't sure if it was going to work. So I literally just part swapped it over.
Color is pretty good.
That's not bad,
sleeves, isn't it?
Yeah, his arms, because they made him so small. I'll have to swap the arms because they give him no shoulders. It looks like tiny arms. It's not too bad. But
yeah,
I had a set of the legs that were dyed, so that's why the boots are black because I had dyed
okay.
sets.
Just to set something straight here. I saw this a ton the last few days on Facebook, is people keep saying mainframe can be small. Now, I don't care what size it is. I really don't. I love mainframe. But your reasoning is incorrect. You say he's a small guy because he's a computer guy. Right? Mainframe is not just a computer guy. Mainframe is a guy that lied about his age to get to go to the Vietnam War. Airborne qualified.
Ranger
qualified. Left the Army, all right, and then joined the Marines. And then became a computer guy. This is not some dude that skips physical fitness, right? If that guy honed his body like that, and we're talking about, let's get, back to the basics, the GI Joe team is supposed to be an elite special forces unit. That was always a pet peeve of mine when the cartoon would act like you would have to take a Green Beret through basic training. What? And it would be the same basic training as a basketball player?
Yeah, very strange.
Cracker, please. All right, let's be real about this. But Mainframe is a badass. All right, I think so. I've always thought so. I thought that was an interesting way to introduce a computer guy that is actually can wear Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, and also wear the Ranger badge. And I know that's silly. I know that real life probably wouldn't happen. When you're talking about a character on a team that is special forces, that seems like the computer guy you'd be okay with being on the field with you. It was so weird to me that they made such a big deal about his military background, but didn't give him a weapon. Strange. Not even a pistol. So yeah, I mean, I always thought, for me as a kid, like reading Mainframe's card, like, I thought he sounded pretty cool. Like that's a little cutting edge for that time frame to be like, computers are the future, and we got to have a computer guy. This guy's not just a computer guy; he's also kind of a badass.
Yeah, this isn't a Revenge of the Nerds character here.
Yeah. Yes, I mean he probably does have a pocket protector because even the character in The Accountant has a pocket protector. For God's sake, we're not savages.
It's true. It's true.
But yeah,
I mean, Martin Sheen falling down had a pocket protector. I probably wouldn't.
He did too, and as much of a barely the status of anti-hero in that story. Still one of my favorite movies. An excellent example of
anti-hero is definitely a stretch.
Yeah, he went off the deep end a little bit, It's like when the Jackal fucked with the Punisher and made him like try to kill somebody that jaywalked. Okay, hold up. But that's the beauty of that movie. It starts out as just frustration and anger from one man's point of view, right? And in its day and age, like that kind of a story gets laughed at.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect example of a man that was doing everything he thought was right for society. And one thing tripped him over the edge, and then all of those things, all that stuff he carried on his shoulders, just totally destroys his mind and takes it to an incredibly bad, dark place. Yeah, it's a powerful movie. It is a good watch, very well put together. I really did enjoy it. You had the good guy bad guy dynamic is really jittery because you see that the cop also has a bunch of problems in his life. Not a perfect man either,
Right.
But he did know the difference between good and evil, and that is what the main character lost. So lost his moral compass a little bit. The fun part is like seeing somebody like pull out an Uzi in a restaurant because they say it's 10:32 and they can't make an egg McMuffin. That's pretty entertaining.
Because that's what goes through your mind, right? You're like, that's all I fucking want. Fucking dude, 2 minutes.
Don't make me pull my gat. Like, no, calm down, everybody. And so at first you do relate to him, and that's the problem, and that's the warning I think that the movie is trying to make, is that if you let all of those things build up on you at one point, every day you have to make a moral decision, like, how far do I take this road rage, or how far do I take this anger at this bitch at McDonald's, right? So I do love that movie. It's great. I try to watch it a couple times a year just to keep You're right. That is cool.
That is very cool. Nice.
Well, if anybody could do it right, it's them.
Yeah. John will take good care of it for sure.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, or I can see that.
Yeah. It's just like that's a weird time to reuse tunnel rat legs and then to put the tooling in to do a torso that scales with those legs. It just seems weird. It was a weird choice for them. Don't agree with it.
His gear is great.
Yeah, he's got a good, and that was why I bought it, because I was like, well, if I'm going to make a custom, I still want all of this stuff. And if I piece it out, on Mercari or something, I'm going to spend over $25. So I might as well just get the figure and deal with it.
For sure.
But he looks really good. They just fucked up his size. And if it doesn't bother you, that's fantastic. Most people mainframe it probably isn't their dude. Probably don't know much about him. He's a computer. That's fine.
That's fine. But, and like I said, there's nothing. I'm not saying that he couldn't be a short dude. I'm not saying that at all. Not every Marine is Jack Reacher size.
Sure.
But not Tom Cruise Jack Reacher, because maybe that's who this mainframe
is. That might be mainframe.
They said, "Oh, you want Jack Reacher size on every Marine?" Okay, we watched the movies with Tom Cruise. You didn't read the books or watch the TV
that's
series.
what it was.
Maybe that's probably what happened. They were like, "Oh yeah, I love those movies where Tom Cruise acts like he's 6'6", but he's actually 5'2". I really love that imposing character that he puts on the screen. So we'll just do him Tom Cruise size.
Could have been. Who knows?
Yeah, so I'm not saying that every Marine has to be 6 feet tall. I'd be perfectly fine, since it does kind of indicate on his file card that he is one of the oldest guys there, which doesn't fit with saying that he lied about his age to get in, because we have 3 characters that we know for sure served in the Vietnam War. We know that Hawk was at least in the food chain of officers during when Snake Eyes came back from the war. So, but he would have been one of the oldest new recruits, because everyone else after that, there's no one else that they pull into that story that said, yeah, they served.
Right.
So to say 2 years.
Duke was like one of the last ones, right? Like, he like saved a bunch of people, and that was part of his stories. Like,
yeah. So he doesn't have to be tall. I just want him to be proportionate. And if you're going through the trouble of doing that, then make some boots right. Come on. I get That's it. Fair. I really do.
Depending on where that fight was, Tom Cruise might have a chance.
Yeah.
Go off the side of a mountain, he might win.
Yeah, or in a city environment, 20 stories in the air.
20 stories in the air on a plane. If they did it in the back of a C-130, like there may be a couple of places on motorcycles.
Tom could rely on his stature and ability to jump from buildings to buildings.
Right.
So
who knows? Could happen. But I guess we can wrap her up. Let these people disperse into their Sunday
back. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the rambling and the discussions about the ins and outs of manufacturing toys.
Toy ramblings. It's pretty good. We started with like 6 people. We're at 18 now. That's pretty good. Three times. That's pretty good. I'm happy. Yeah.
That's more people that would listen if I just started talking about this stuff at a bar.
That's true. That's true. Unless you wanted to talk about Marines, that may, depending on the bar, that may get you more than 18.
Yeah, I get some spirited conversation. Like I said, I have nothing against the Marine Corps. Apparently, Hasbro can't seem to understand.
I don't know what their deal is with the fucking Marines, but they do not. They don't. They're not.
They're the ones that told us that Leatherneck was over 6 feet tall in the 50th anniversary stuff.
Yeah, they made him a same size roadblock.
Yeah,
you did this.
This is on you guys.
You did this. I don't know. Strange to me, but whatever. Yeah, appreciate you guys all being here. Wednesday I'll be doing JMK Custom Works Live. Thursday, Zach and I are talking to Shane with Same Time Toys. Outside of that, that's all I know I've got going on. Pop, you got anything you wanna pimp out, talk about?
I don't have anything going on till our next show in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I told you guys what I'm working on and what I'm going to be working on, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll work on some stuff for you this week, so you can finish out some work you're doing.
Sweet. I got some more work coming in the mail after I talked to Big Bad Workshop. So got a couple of packages from them coming, so I get some work done this in the next couple of weeks for sure.
Awesome. That's great. That is really great.
Oh, they're going nuts over there.
Amazon must be here.
That's what I figured. Yeah, Amazon or FedEx or something's on the back porch for sure. All right, guys. Thank you again for spending your Sunday morning with us. Can't thank you enough for it. Appreciate your support. Stay classy, San Diego. See ya.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Eat my short.
Go fuck yourself. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Flush that turd down the drain. Avenge me! Avenge me!
Thank you. Thank you.